So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about angelfish and the pros and cons of keeping them, breeding, feeding, tank size, pretty much all the basics, water parameters, just stuff like that. So the first thing I want to talk about, which I feel is most important, is tank size. For a breeding pair, 20 gallon would be a little bit on the lower side, 29 gallon would be fine. But if you want to keep more than two, I would recommend either a 40 gallon breeder for 4. Even though I do have 4, I have a 55 gallon. I also have 3 other species of fish in here. So that is fine. I don't really have too much fighting or fin nipping going on. They're pretty peaceful overall as long as they have enough space. They did get a little bit aggressive not too long ago when they had babies, and I'll show you guys a video of that when I talk about breeding. But overall, they are quite peaceful as long as the fish aren't breeding. The next thing we're going to talk about is what I feed them, and these are the 2 things that I feed them. And for these, I'm sure you can find them on Amazon, but I just throw in a whole cube. I feed them 3 times a day, and I also feed them half a square of bloodworms. If you know how big a square is, then you know that they have a lot of bloodworms in 1 square. And I just split that between that and my shoulders, that tank down there. And they love it, and so do the angelfish. Tank mates wise, I would pick any dwarf cichlid or any fish that isn't a cichlid. Mollies, guppies, platies, zanios, gourami, basically any fish that's not a cichlid, or maybe a dwarf cichlid. I do have a dwarf cichlid in here, a couple of them. They're called carbensis. They're really pretty fish. There's a good view of what they look like. But yeah, they don't fight at all. I do have 2 mystery snails in here, so they're doing pretty good too. Ram's horn snails, it's another mystery snail. Ram's horn snails are also very, very good for a tank because they're big enough to where they're not going to get eaten by these somewhat aggressive fish. As you can see, there's not a lot of snails. It would probably take me a while to find a small snail in here. The mystery snails can survive, obviously, because of how big they are. The ram's horn snails get about 4 or 5 times the size of pest snails. There are other names for pest snails, but I call them pest snails. That's the only thing I know them by. But there are a lot of different plant options as well. I love the Amazon swords. This leaf right here was the one that had the eggs on it not too long ago. There are many plant options. The temperature is like 80 right now, I think. Yeah, okay, 79. And basically any aquarium plant could live in that. I don't have enough filtration going on. I do need to buy like a canister filter at some point. So it's a little bit green right now. But overall, it's really not that bad. Some of that greenness is algae on the front that I do need to wipe off here soon. I definitely get some floating plants. I love picking at them and eating algae off of them. Next thing we're going to talk about is pH. I would keep it 7.5 to 8.5. I definitely wouldn't go higher. I'd say a little bit lower would be okay, but they might not breed well for you. Higher than that might cause some issues with them. I definitely wouldn't recommend higher, but I'd keep them around 7.5 to 8 for like maximum efficiency if you're wanting to breed them. And another thing I would do is if you're wanting to breed them, I would get a 29 gallon tank, and I would just bare bones, nothing in there other than a fish and maybe a breeding slate or 1 Amazon sword or just something to lay their eggs on, but definitely not other fish or a bunch of plants or any substrate. Just something for them to lay their eggs on. And last thing, which I feel is most important to a lot of people out there, is breeding. These guys are very easy to breed as long as you're patient. They do take a while to grow to full size. These guys only took about 3 months of me having them, which is actually pretty quick. Most times it's supposed to take 5 to 8. They started breeding pretty early, and I did get some nice ones, especially this guy right here. That one is probably the shortest finned one. You want long finned ones. This one right here is very pretty, so I would definitely get some good babies out of him. The breeding is overall pretty easy if you are moving the eggs into a separate aquarium, which once again needs to be bare bones with a sponge filter, just like this. I'd say a 10 to 20 gallon would be fine for that, since they do have a lot of babies. And I would feed them baby brine shrimp or other baby fish foods, and that should be fine. You don't have to feed them baby brine shrimp, but that's what I would recommend. I will have a video on how to breed them specifically coming out soon, hopefully. And I do have a video on this tank. It just reached 100 days old, so I made a video about it, and I would love for you guys to go check that out if you're interested in it. It did pretty good. It got a couple thousand views, and yeah. If you guys have any more questions about angelfish, please let me know in the comments. I would be happy to answer them. I do try and respond to all of my comments, no matter what they are. If you guys like the tank, leave a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.